This illustration deals with power supplies. In accordance with NEC 545.22A as in apple through D as in dog. And notice the purpose of the change is a new section. And this new section has been added to address power supply for relocatable, where you relocate structures. Now, notice the illustration to the left shows a pole with a service there that is could be temporary, and but notice that 230.70, and when we look at Article 690, a service where it always has to be installed and meet the guidelines of Article 230 regardless. But other wiring methods in 590 can be less than. And now we're going to take a look at manufactured buildings that you could relocate, say on a job site or any area like that. Now, if we notice the illustration with the pole braced and everything with an overhead drop, you have your weatherhead that has to meet 230.54 when you bring the service drop in from overhead. Then you have your meter that meets 90.2B as in boy 5, along with really 230.66 if you really wanted to review it. And then you have a service 230.70, and if it's B as in boy 230.70B, then you're just terminating to a main, which would take place here. Then notice your grounding electrode conductor driven there is usually a driven rod is shown, and the sections that regulate it, 250.52A5 says, yeah, that rod has to be 8 foot in length and 8 foot of it in the ground. And then 250.53, 250.53G, along with 545.12, and really 250.66A, you know, we could use a number 6, grounding electrode conductor to connect to the rod. Then notice the feeder routed with a main ahead of it over to the panel located in the building there, on the building, whatever. Then notice it has to comply with 545.22A as in apple. Then your identifications for relocatable, where you relocate these facilities, is 545.22A. The guarding is 250.10, that you do have to guard your grounding electrode conductor connection and so forth. So 250.10 and 250.12 along with 250.8 should be reviewed there to get a good handle on that if you're the installing electrician. Then note that the panel board marking now, with the arrow drawn toward that panel board, the marking should be visible without removing the cover. So that means the identification would be located on the front outside cover of that panel board. And then notice it is a manufactured building. You see that information right within the eave there, 545.2. And the manufactured panel board has to comply with 508.36 and 508.40. We know that. Now, to review the feeder information, we'd go to 545.22A. Now, notice that's the call out right below the relocatable building. Identification, 545.22, C is in car 1 and C2. The number of services that we could have there at the building is 545.22B, and then the grounding procedure is 545.22D as in dog. And then we have the last call out would be the also call out. And it says also see 250.64, D as in dog 1, and 545.26. And then we get a good handle on grounding it and what can be used, what cannot be used. And that's the information. You're looking at manufactured buildings that can be relocated and used as need.